Okay, this is Andy Graham of the Ask Andy Show. Traveled nonstop for 16 plus years and went to 90 countries. Got a question here. It's a pretty interesting one. Colm, C-O-L-M, different name, or C-R. Ask Andy, sorry about the loss of your dad. I lost my dad, I don't know, we buried him May 18th. I think it was last January. So it was, my first parent that died. Do you have any spiritual or psychological routines or practices that keep it together or not lose the plot? Losing the plot is a traveler slogan. It's not slogan. It's a traveler jargon or traveler terminology. What happens is a lot of travelers lose the plot because what they do is they have nobody to bounce across their ideas off of people, and they have no filter on their brain, and basically they start reading all these things, and maybe they watch The Matrix and they start thinking that more of these things are real than reality, while they misplace, they get kind of delusional, and a lot of them get very paranoid too, because when you're not talking to the exact same people every day, there's no checks and balances on your brain. There's no filter. There's no filtering of your words. So there's actually people here that'll talk about aliens and spacecrafts. I'm in Vilcabamba, Ecuador right now. They'll talk about conspiracy things, and they'll just talk about some wild things. And nobody knows them that well. Nobody cares about them, and they'll just basically let it slide, and we'll listen to it. And the more they say these things, the more these things have validity, and they sort of keep growing and festering in the mind, and they actually think because we didn't disagree that we agreed. And then then they'll find another person that sort of goes on it, like saying that we didn't land on the moon or something like that, or there's aliens with one eye over here or something, or funny things like this. But do I have any psychological routines or practices that help people? I guess the routine that I always have is I have certain friends that I do talk to, and if I had a question about something, I would run it over, whether it's my mother, my father, or my friend Phil, or different people in the United States, or I can call them up on Skype and ask them. It's not a spiritual thing. I do say, though, I adhere to a policy of what is obviously true. Okay, what I'm saying is that the sun is shining. That's obviously true. Whether there's Martians or not, or aliens from extraterrestrial beings, it's not obvious truth. So I hold on to only the things in my vision that I have a methodological doubt. Somewhat like Descartes, René Descartes, a philosopher that said he basically would not judge everything, and then he said, the only thing I can prove is that when I'm thinking, I exist. Cognito ergo sum. I kind of adhere to the same kind of concept. I believe that I only believe in what I can obviously do, and I don't talk about a bunch of things that are not obviously true. And I think that's a good policy for everybody, and that's the thing. But I don't really talk about any. I say to myself, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know its difference. And if I have the wisdom to know the difference between the things that I cannot change, like there was a bunch of people ranting and raving about the Israeli, Gaza war, and I can't change this. It's really irrelevant to me, and it's not really much reason to talk about it, and I'm especially not going to get involved in it, and because I can't change it. It's just not part of my world. It's not one day at a time part of my world. So if you stay based in this, you don't lose the plot. If you go justifying your happiness on what's happening in Israel on the other side of the planet, then you're going to go crazy. And trust me, a lot of people think that it's a personal affront that one country attacks another country. And I go, hey, can't even change it. It's really irrelevant to me. Although, sometimes we do get in conversations. But so my practices, psychological routines, is to say, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And then if it's something I can change, then I might do something about it. So, you know, but 99% I can change people, places, and things. I can change my pants. I can't change people, places, and things. Okay. And then I really refrain from having long conversations about silly stuff that I cannot change or work on. That's not to say I don't like to have intellectual conversations, but some of these conversations are more on the angry and rage side. That's one routine, is that if I see rage or I feel rage and anger coming from a person, I walk on the other side of the road. I just erase them out of my life and divorce them as a friend and all that sort of stuff. I don't put up with this stuff. I don't need this in my life. I'm too old, too happy, too, you know, in love with myself to allow somebody else to destroy my sanity. Okay, but people do lose their plot, and I would say roughly 3 to 5% of the expats abroad are, you know, almost certifiably insane. They really think some things, but they're kind of safe because they have an overabundance of money, and they're living in a cheap country, and this protects them against, you know, because everybody kind of sucks up to them, right? The locals do. And the locals don't even understand them anyway, and as long as they're not violent, they don't really cause any trouble. But some of them are really crazy.